all of us at this table are big supporters of Fry, but of Fry and of White Mountain Stewardship. And one of the things that we continue to say, whether it's in Albuquerque when we're meeting with the regional forester like we did in late February, or whether it's in DC like we doing in early March, meeting with the people in DC saying they can't be exclusive. We've got to do both. We can't start the first part of Fry up near Flagstaff at the expense of the businesses we've built in the White Mountains over the last 7 years. And when I say we, I don't mean we. Obviously, you guys have been more of that, but I say we as a community. The whole community has been behind it, and so it is imperative that people understand that we've got to be careful. We've got to make sure that we don't get a big contract for some big business that builds something in Flagstaff or wherever they might build it, and then these all here shut down, and the 300 and however many jobs you were speaking of dry up and go away, because that doesn't benefit our forests nor our communities. And so it is a delicate balance. And Chris, I know a lot of that falls on you. You're the supervisor down here in Apache Seagreaves, yet the first portion of this big project is happening outside of your forest. So it's requiring you to stay at the table with those other forest supervisors saying, don't forget what we're doing down here.
Well, certainly. I mean, there's a lot of people involved in Fry. It's not just, 5 or 10 folks. It's 40 different organizations, and just a tremendous diversity of interests. And because it's for forests, and we already have White Mountain Stewardship here, the logic was, let's start it someplace else to get their interest and their buy-in into this project as well. There's a risk with that, which we're talking about right now, is that we've got to make sure that we don't forget what started the whole thing. And so with that in mind, those 20,000 acre blocks, I think, are going to be absolutely key to making sure that we continue a supply for White Mountain Industries.
Now, you already have some acreage that you're prepared to do that with for the next year or two.
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, but it's interesting because it's one, fulfilling the obligations of the White Mountain Stewardship Contract, the minimum acreage there, right? Because that was designed to be anywhere between 5,000 and 15,000 acres a year. Am I stating that correctly?
Yes.
So we got to get that fulfilled, yet at the same time save some acres so that when that contract is up 3 years from now, we have acreage here that those businesses can then bid on or obtain, however that process is. So if they transition right into, now it's not stewardship anymore if that goes away, but whatever, whether it's Fry stewardship, that acreage is still there.
Well, and I don't want us to put all our eggs in one basket and say that if I don't get those 20,000 acres off of Fry, this White Mountain Stewardship falls apart. So what we've got 2 large projects we're working on the Apache Seagreaves right now as backup projects in case for some reason we don't get the money to continue the contracting into Fry. If the bids don't come to zero, for example, what happens to Fry? And I think Congress is going to get involved in that situation, and we'll find out exactly where this thing goes. But regardless, I need to be prepared, and the forest is prepared, I think, to make sure that we have an adequate supply into the foreseeable future.
One of the biggest things that Fry is counting on is trust. And I would say people that wouldn't sit in a room together 10 years ago or 15 years ago are now sitting at the table together trying to come up with a solution. Trust is really important, and one of the reasons that I very much want to see White Mountain Stewardship continue and be successful till the end is the trust that has been built. There's a lot of businesses outside of this area that are looking at how things have been done with White Mountain Stewardship Contract to see if they even want to play in the game called Fry. And so promises and how things are spelled out are very important. I don't really think we'd have Fry if White Mountain Stewardship Contract hadn't been as successful as it has been.
Agreed.
While the costs haven't come down to the point that we've wanted them to, we're doing really good forest restoration work, and we're producing products. Nationwide, since 2004, 2006, there's been over 400,000 jobs lost in the wood products industry. So the fact that our businesses, for one, are still working,
growing jobs while they're declining,
and 2, are producing a product and keeping people employed, I think we're being very successful. So I look forward to figuring out how this is all going to work. There's going to be days where I'm sure Chris and I are not going to see eye to eye, but the most important thing is that we continue to work on the problem, that we don't give up.
Well, I think you hit on a couple